Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusters.pod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
The Oscars last night, Anora, it won a bunch of awards. It won for Best Picture, most of all. What do you think about that?
I just have not been interested in watching that film ever since Florida Project, man. I was so disinterested in that, and I just feel like it'll be more of the same.
Yeah, I watched one other film by him. I can't remember what it was, but now he's...
Was it Tangerine?
Tangerine, I haven't seen it. I can't remember what the other film I saw was. He got caught with his pants down, like liking loads of Zionist stuff online and talking about how Carl Rittenhouse was like an American hero and all that kind of shit. So I've got no interest in supporting that man's work. Fine. If the Academy Awards want to give him an Oscar, let them give him an Oscar. But I don't need to support him. He's getting plenty of support from elsewhere, so I won't be going to see that film. Adrian Brody, Best Actor for The Brutalist. I mean, he was good in it. The film was problematic.
You know more than me.
You got that. Zoe Saldana won for Emilia Perez, which is mad to me because Emilia Perez is being criticised so much. I think the film's fine, like I said before, but it is wild to me that she's the one who's... winning the supporting actress. I've only seen Ariana Grande in Wicked and Felicity Jones. No, I've seen the others. Felicity Jones in The Brutalist and Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown. I guess in many ways she is the best out of those ones.
You're in a very good position. You've seen a lot of these films. I just have not.
Yeah, I just haven't seen Isabella Rossellini in Conclave for it. So Zoe Saldana probably needs it. Kieran Culkin for Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain. That was inevitable. Good for him.
Very good.
I'm Still Here won Best International Feature, which I was happy about. Someone I work with, Brazilian, she's been very excited for them to pick that up, so that's good. Flow got Best Animated Feature. Beat Wild Robot, which everyone thought was going to win the Best Animated, but Flow got it instead. Black Cat Solidarity, man.
Nice. I do really want to see it. It's on my watch list.
Anora.
The robot, Wild Robot got something though, didn't it? I swear I saw it win something.
I think a short that was called Something Robot won.
Oh, that's probably what I saw. I'm not a robot. That's it. Yeah, that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Conclave, Best Adapted Screenplay. Okay, I haven't seen it yet. But funnily enough, I rented it on Prime last night because it was reduced. And I said to Jenny, I'm going to rent it now because if it wins big at the Oscars, they're going to jack the price back up. So at least it's there.
That's true.
Emilia Perez, Best Original Song. Brutalist Original Score. No Other Land won for Best Documentary. Palestine-Israeli documentary. Now that's cool. I've got something to say about that.
That's good. I listened to their acceptance speech, and that was
Did you
very
watch the acceptance speech?
Yes.
Now, this is what I've got to say.
Go on.
I'm not comfortable with the way that, maybe less so Selena Gomez, but Samuel L. Jackson was acting while they were talking.
Yes, I saw exactly the same thing. Yeah, he was just smiling and doing a little laugh. It's like, concentrate on what this man is saying.
Man's saying some serious stuff. Yeah, exactly. And right at the moments when he's saying serious stuff and when the audience are about to applaud, he's turning and doing that smiling. Also, he distinctly did not applaud at any point during their speech. In fact, he was holding his hands behind his fucking back. Also, that audience, this is the hypocrisy of Hollywood. You've been championing Israel and Zionist stories for as long as fucking time can tell, particularly over the last 18 months. Yet this film wins the awards, and now you're going to applaud as if you had their back all that time? Don't fuck with me. And also, did you notice once the Israeli guy stood up, they were applauding him a lot louder than they were applauding the Palestinians?
Of course, yeah. I heard that. It wasn't a full audience giving the applause. And also, this film just wasn't released in America. So,
of course
that's
not.
Always great.
Of course not. Anyway, but good. It won the Oscar. It's on Channel 4 over here in the UK, where we're still fucking free. Where we're still slightly free, so we can watch that stuff.
Ever so slightly.
Best costume design, Wicked. Makeup and hairstyling went to The Substance. I don't remember her hair at all in it.
All that workout video aesthetic, I guess.
Maybe. It was the makeup, though, I think. I was trying to do a joke, but it didn't land. Best production design, Wicked. Best sound, June. June's always going to win sound.
Did you see the acceptance video of I can't remember what award ceremony it was. But it's Timothée Chalamet
at the BAFTAs.
Was it BAFTAs?
No, at the Critics Award. We watched it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Fucking loved it.
I don't know, man. Because of the fact that I think he saw up his own arse, it annoyed me a bit.
Mate, that was honesty. So many of them get up there and bullshit away and mince their words. He's like, come on, you got to admire that honesty. Whether you like him or not, that's someone who's like, I believe I can be one of the greats and I want to be that. That's why he said, I'm not going to mince my words. You're not meant to say this, but I want to be a great.
I just wanted to be a little bit more humble, you know? I haven't seen any humbleness from him. He's always just about up his own arse, loving himself so much.
When you see him at the award shows, though, mate, he's smiling. He's nice when people joke and barb with him. He's laughing. He's not just sitting there like with his finger to his lip, just not doing anything, you know?
I don't know. Half of my my persona of hating him is like put on a little bit. I know
it's not real.
Much.
I know.
But it's just I haven't got that level of him yet that I feel like, okay, I like him.
Yeah. He's I mean, I've been rooting for him for a long time, so I was kind of like hyped to see him do that, particularly because that was the only time that he won the award over Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, this is your chance to say something like that.
Good on him. It's fine.
Did you see any of Conan O'Brien's little gags?
I saw the gag with him and Adam Sandler.
That fuck off. That was so annoying.
Yeah.
So overacted by Sandler. Like, he's being as loud and obnoxious as can. Like, Adam Sandler's gone in reverse, hasn't he?
He just... he was putting on a Little Nicky performance.
Yeah. So annoying.
Apart from that, I don't think I saw anything else. Any other jokes?
He did a funny Kendrick and Drake joke.
I saw the one about Anora winning. At least someone standing up to the Russians. But most of all, I don't really give a fuck about the Oscars.
No, I know you don't. And you know me, I don't hold a lot of stock with it either, but I do. It is a magical time of year because it's a celebration of the thing that we love.
Of course.
The thing that I actually enjoyed very much, more than any of these awards this year, was the Screen Actors Guild Awards on Netflix, because that was like peers recognising peers, and that was good and it felt quite genuine. More than these fucking golden baubles that mean absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's true.
Of course. Should we get into this episode, Ben? Should we tell everyone what we're doing today?
Yeah, what are we doing?
So we're kicking off a new round, as everyone knows. We just finished 1999. We're jumping 10 years to 2009. All by the good grace of our wonderful patron, Sean Panda Nicholson, who was supposed to be here today, but sadly, it didn't end up working out. But he will be back. We'll get him back at some point.
We will. Now, he sent us to 2009.
He did. And it's Ben Wheatley, our first ever Ben Wheatley film. And it's Down Terrace. And before we watched this film, we'd never even heard of it, correct?
Me either.
Yeah.
Had to buy it on DVD because it's impossible to stream anywhere as well.
It is very impossible to stream. I actually had to VPN it and rent it in America on Amazon Prime. So how about that? That's effort for this film.
That is a lot of effort. I got the fucking DVD and it was one of those bad marketing jobs where the cover of it makes it seem like some Football Factory style gangster film.
Yeah, they tried to hype out
poorly
that poster.
marketed.
Yeah, very poorly. Nothing like that, is it?
2009. This is the world that we are travelling to for the next few episodes. These are the things that happened. We had the Miracle on the Hudson. That's when Sully, that pilot, landed that flight on the Hudson River.
Shit. Oh,
in
yeah,
America. Okay. Obama was inaugurated 44th President of the United States. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fucking shit. You're all the same. If you're president in America, you're all the same. We don't give a shit. He was the drone king. Don't get it twisted, folks. Trump's a cunt. He was also a cunt. There's many shades of cunt when it comes to being president of the United States. And if you don't realise that, you might be a cunt yourself. We can say that we're British. Listen, we have cunts in this country. When was the last time we had a leader that wasn't a cunt? Yeah. At least we know all of our leaders are cunts. Americans just forget that the Democrats are cunts as well. Is that a record for the amount of time we've said cunt in?
Definitely. That's it.
Good.
And you just put one more just for that as well.
I probably sound like a cunt to all the listeners at this point. That will have definitely upset a lot of people, but keep it in. Swine flu. Swine flu was declared a global pandemic by WHO, but we did not know what fucking global pandemics were back then. I don't remember any fuss about swine flu.
I wasn't staying at home for swines.
I remember not eating swine for a while.
I don't even remember what I did when I was 19. I was out fucking smoking weed. You were
smoking swine. You were being a swine. You were a swine. Yes. In your skater parks, smoking pork in your crack pipe.
Boy. Smoking pork. I definitely was not smoking pork.
I'll tell you one thing you were doing, because it was the year Grindr was launched. You had that shit all over your phone. You were logging into Grindr. You were
Is Grindr that old?
There we go. It is.
Jesus. You would know.
2000. Yeah, of course. Come on, man. 2009, year of free love.
Free love. Hell yeah.
That's how I found you.
Of course. That's why we made love on the podcast.
Of course. Anyway, RuPaul's Drag Race debuted that year as well. We talked about it on Grindr.
We did.
Why are you laughing? You're uncomfortable.
Almost forgot. That's what we spoke about, yes.
Also, Bitcoin was created. That's how I paid you for your services when we first met.
Yep. You weren't paying me, I was paying you.
That's right. And we were in bed together when we found out that Michael Jackson died.
No. We were so happy and then we were so sad.
Brittany Murphy died.
We were so happy and we were so sad again. Twice.
I know. And Patrick Swayze died.
3 times we were in bed together that year.
Yes. There's a street sweeper going by.
In 2009.
Yeah. The first street sweeper was invented. Go on, get on by, man. There he goes. Israel invaded Gaza again, by the way, 2009. Did an assault on Gaza Strip, dropping loads of bombs. Channel 4 cared about it for about a week, and then that was done.
You could probably say that every year, couldn't you?
Every year. Every fucking year. It's a recurring item. Yep. Mm-hmm. Parks and Recreation and Modern Family debuted in America.
I haven't watched either.
Watched Modern Family. It was funny for about 4 or 5 seasons. As many sitcoms are. Mm. And then it started being bad.
Dropping off.
Windows 7 operating system.
It launched. Windows 7.
Tiger Woods.
He launched a ball.
He did the reverse. He sucked the ball in and said, I'm quitting golf to focus on my marriage, because he was having very many affairs. And Avatar came out. And same-sex marriage was legalised in Sweden. It was the year of homosexuality, man. It was a good year for the homosexuals. Grindr, same-sex marriage legalised in Sweden, and RuPaul's Drag Race. Great year for the homosexuals, as we experienced ourselves.
Yes, as we did, yes.
I love RuPaul.
I met him the other day.
What did he say to you?
He was a nice guy.
He's got that little peanut head.
He gave me a wink. He knew about me and you.
Yeah, he did. He was there.
Very tall man. He's very tall.
He's tall and skinny, eh? Imagine what he's like when he's wearing the heels.
Even taller and even skinnier.
Anyway.
Is that all? Is that all the facts?
That's enough.
Well, there was 2 films we've done on the podcast before that were released in 2009. Do you know what they are?
I did, and I've forgotten. Tell me.
Antichrist. That was a very good episode, wasn't it? On Antichrist.
Right. One of our best. Butler's best.
Butler's best. And My Son, What Have You Done?
Oh, dear.
A Werner film.
Werner von Trier.
Werner von Trier. The double V noise.
Yes, and who's the common actor in both of those films?
It is Mr. Willem Dafoe.
Willem, yes. It's the year of Willem. 2 films from 2009 he was in. I wonder if he's in another film from 2009 that we can fit into our repertoire then.
Oh, maybe. We should have a little look, shouldn't we?
Let's leave it.
Right. There's no quiz today, everyone. So
No.
I guess that just means we should segue on to what we're talking about today, which is Down Terrace. Should we do it?
Yes.
They were just fucking here.
It's okay, it doesn't matter.
It's not okay. Somebody's moved them. Where the fuck are they? They were just fucking here. Oh, for fuck's sake! Fuck!
There's some letters down here, they might be down here.
They're not down, they're not... They were fucking here, man!
It's okay.
It's not okay, it's fucked! It's fucking typical, it's fucking fucked right up! Mum! 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 Mum, have you seen those letters?
Calm down, it's okay.
It's not okay! Oh, there they are.
Hello, everyone. We're doing Down Terrace today. This is a spoiler episode, so if you haven't seen it, you might want to go back and watch it first. It's from 2009, directed by Ben Wheatley. And do you want me to do the plot description today, Ben?
Yeah, you do it.
Okay, I'll do it. But first, I just want to say we've got one recurring actor who's been on another episode, on another film we've done before on the podcast. Do you know who it is?
I can only imagine it's Michael Smiley,
It is Michael Smiley.
but I couldn't tell you the film.
It was The Lobster.
Oh.
Don't remember him in it.
I get a sense, but no, not really.
That was it. That's the only person. So I guess I will
Interesting.
give you a little rundown of the plot.
Yeah.
We have a father and son. They've just been released from jail. Bill and Carl.
Bill's the daddy.
Yeah, Bill's the daddy, Carl's the sonny. He just got released, both of them, from jail. And they're like, hey, who put us in jail? So they got to try and figure out who put them in jail because they're big-time gangsters, as the DVD covers suggest.
Yes.
And that's it. That's what the film is. They're searching for that person. Ben, you got any facts about this film?
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to really go on because it was Ben Wheatley's first feature film, so it was kind of like this amateur production. Him and the guy who played Carl, the son, always were friends, and they were always talking about making a feature film together. And then Wheatley wrote the script, and this guy, Rob Hill, the one who played Carl, was like, maybe we can make it at my house because then we don't have to spend any money, and let's actually use my dad as the character of the dad, and we'll just film it in my house. And that's what they did. They shot the whole film over 8 days in this guy's house. Ben Wheatley said he didn't at any moment look to borrow money or get a loan or get investment from BFI or Channel 4 because he just thought if you've got a story to tell, you should just tell it within your means. You shouldn't have to go into debt to make a film. And I appreciate that. And they just kind of, they wrote a script. So even though it feels improvised, all the dialogue was scripted, and all the tonal shifts, all the beats were written right there into the scripts, and none of that was improvised. And Ben Wheatley basically said by the end of it, they'd been in it for so long that it took them a while to get out of the mood of the film. Like they were constantly in that mood at all times because it was just in this house and they were living it. And by the time they'd finished the film, they didn't know if they'd made something good or made something bad. But when they looked at it, they were like, oh, we actually made something pretty decent here.
They say how long they were in it for?
8 days.
8 days. Only 8 days. Right, okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
8 days.
Okay.
8 days.
Nice.
I wonder if those days, those intertitles in the film actually match the days that they were filming on, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
It definitely, I can't remember how far along it went. That would have been a good quiz question.
Yes.
It definitely went over a week.
I was making notes of what things happened on what days, but then I gave up because then I started thinking, I think I've missed some titles.
Well,
there you go.
that's good facts. Good facts. So this is Sean's pick. Normally we would revert to Adam to decide the order of our first impressions, but I will revert to you, Ben. What order do you want?
Let's go you, because I've just been talking.
Okay.
A PB, a peanut butter.
Peanut butter. No Adam today. We haven't even said that. Adam's not here. everyone.
Yeah, we did not even address it at all. It just went, carried on. Who gives a shit?
People might have been mistaken, like, maybe I heard him earlier on.
Yeah. People might be like, maybe Adam's just being his usual quiet self.
Maybe. Might just hear his voice in a minute. The first impressions. Yeah. Okay, so me first. I think it's an incredibly unique film. Like the way it's shot, the acting style, the color palette. I think you would be mistaken in thinking like it's like a kitchen sink drama before like any kind of comedy. It's just like far from that kitchen sink drama. It did take me a while to understand what the film was and whether I was laughing at it or with it kind of thing. But as expected, like someone who I always love and someone who is 100%, in my opinion, the MVP in the film, Michael Smiley. He basically hands it to you on a plate in terms of what is actually going on here, because I think he is hilarious in this film. And that middle chunk with him involved is by far the most enjoyable part of the film. I feel like Michael Smiley, he knows exactly what this film is. And it might be because he's just naturally funny. But everyone else seems to be playing it straighter than he is. But that could just be my taste bleeding into it a little bit. But I think it's a very interesting bunch of characters who, like, although they say they're embroiled in some sort of gang shit, there's no real sense of it. And like it's more just a bunch of hyper paranoid people. But overall, it just comes across very natural, very, very darkly funny. Sometimes very hammy in places, which is still enjoyable. I just feel like the level of enjoyment I was getting from Michael Smiley in that middle section, the film was at its peak and it never reached those levels again. So I left feeling nowhere near as enjoyable as I was in that middle section. But still, a very enjoyable little British gem, I'd say, and that's my first impressions.
Okay. Very good. Well, I'll start off with an apology to Sean, because Sean, whenever a patron brings a film up, especially one that's like less known as well, I always like to try and give it the benefit of the doubt and see things through someone else's eyes and whatnot. But I got to tell you, buddy, I really didn't like this film. I didn't gel with it at any point at all. I didn't warm to it. I didn't like the style. I didn't like the characters. I'm someone who loves dialogue, which is pretty much all this film is. But it's not, it doesn't manifest in any really interesting narrative. Like the plot description that you gave at the top, Paul, that was more interesting than the film. Because yes, that is the concept, but it constantly felt like why do I give a shit about if this guy's girlfriend is pregnant with his kid or someone else while he was in prison, and why the fuck is the dad rambling about being off drugs and connecting to new ways of the world and stuff like that. I just didn't. The whole thing was directionless and rudderless, and I didn't gel with it. Only afterwards, finding out about the fact that it was made with like zero budget and in someone's house and with like a real father and son. It's like, oh, okay, well, obviously, because if I didn't know this was Ben Wheatley, and if I saw this as part of a short film festival, like if this was 20 minutes and it was submitted to a local short film festival, I'd be like, well, yeah, obviously there's no budget and that's been done in someone's house and that's cool for 20 minutes. But to do a feature film in that setting, as much as I admire the idea of seeing what you can do without any budget, it turned out poorly. And it's the reason why sometimes you do need money and do need investment to tell a more interesting story, because it's like, if you are going to do something like this on a shoestring budget in someone's house, you better make sure it is much more interesting than it was. And it's, the criticism is people keep dying in this film, and I guess it's kind of like a black comedy that all these people keep not accidentally getting killed, but keep getting popped off because of paranoia, as you say, and one misunderstanding or another. But none of them were shocking. Even at the end, when they turn on the parents and kill the parents, I'm like, well, yeah, of course they did. Because what else can you do in this film which has nothing else going for it? I just didn't connect with the human emotion of it. I didn't connect with anything really. It was quite the ordeal, I will admit. And I feel bad about saying that, because I do like Ben Wheatley generally, and the performances from everyone were good. Like, it was very natural, but natural doesn't necessarily mean interesting, and I was not interested at any point.
That's fair. I could see it either way for this film, really, and it definitely does tap into that the comedy of sightseers. I feel it's that very, like, I can't explain what kind of comedy it is, but it's very subtle in some ways. Sometimes it's not, but mostly subtle, and I kind of really appreciate that. Like, I feel like Michael Smiley in this is probably playing the comedy more broad than everyone else.
Well, he's got that spaced experience, I suppose.
Yeah,
so he's doing it a little bit larger.
Yeah, but I do feel like I can understand where you're coming from, because you can definitely feel the fact that they were just in this space for 8 days, just filming and filming and filming, and then hoping they can get something out of it. Because there is a lot in this that feels a little directionless. Like, why are we having this conversation? Yeah, like you said, the dad just chatting about it's not like it used to be. He was almost like an ex-hippie. It sounded like he was talking about, like, he experimented with drugs and he kind of just slipped into this world. Yeah. But to me, I kind of enjoyed that. I enjoyed the dynamic of, it's not something you normally see in this kind of drug dealing gangster world. It's like you never get a character like that who's like running and living in this world. But the thing about the film is, because it's so low budget, you never really dip into the world outside of their own house. So it's like you never get a sense of what that world's actually like, other than this guy who's come down from London to visit them, and he's unhappy with how they're dealing with stuff down there. But you kind of just got to fill in the blanks of what this world's actually like outside of this father and son who just want to go kill everyone because they're so paranoid.
And they're not. It's not believable for me that they are gangsters, particularly the son Carl, because he just comes across as an amateur actor. He comes across as someone whose dad is a gangster, and he's just been born to him, and he never was a gangster, because that Carl does not at any point exude any criminal gangster energy, intelligence, or lifestyle at all. He's just a loser.
Yeah, it's just like a street level kind of pusher more than anything, who's just kind of dabbling in that kind of world. I did appreciate the dynamic between both of them. How you have, I think it plays it from the off with when they get back to their house, and he's just that fuck up son who's just has rage issues, and it shows you immediately when they're taking off their ties, and the dad just has this cool demeanor where he just takes off and he knows exactly how to play the whole situation, whereas the son's there and he's like, get this, Jesus fucking Christ, like a fucking noose, and he's just trying to fucking get this tie around his neck. I enjoyed his character. I wouldn't say I loved him. I don't feel like you get a really deep level to any of these characters. I just enjoy them on a very surface level, and all I see in this Carl is that he just a spoiled little brat who just flies off the handle every now and then. When he's like, can't find this letter, he's just like, Mum. And at that point, I was like, I don't really know what this film's doing.
Yeah.
But I feel like going back, I mean, I don't feel like I would watch this film again. But if I did go back, I feel like I could appreciate a little more what they were trying to do. And it is just comedy. There's nothing else other than it being a little dark with the murdering and stuff. It's just a straight up comedy, because it's just a ridiculous look into this gangster life that they live.
But that comedy that you're talking about, which I agree is there, it's barely there at all. Yes, when Michael Smiley comes up, it comes on a little more, but Michael Smiley's in it for like 10 minutes maximum across the whole film. So if it's him, it's not enough. And yeah, I agree. When he was around, it's the funniest moments. But like, yeah, it is subtle. It's not big laugh out belly laughs. It's not punchlines. It's his interactions with them and stuff. Like when he interrupts that scene, which is really intense, when he finds out Carl's going to be a dad, and he's like, "Oh, congratulations, mate!" And they suddenly break out of it when they've got this guy in the bathroom.
Yeah, almost forgets.
Should be standing.
Almost forgets about it. That's funny. That was the gold for me. Yeah, absolutely. All that stuff. But that's
like one moment in a 90-minute film where the rest of the time you're seeing just like Yeah, it is kitchen sink, really. Just fucking kitchen sink conversation about, oh, well, what you need to tell her to get rid of that baby, and we can't have it fucking up this. Oh, who's the one who dobbed me in? Do you want a cup of tea? What shall we have? We need to go and talk to them about if this is the one who stitched us up. It's like, well, but what? How are we doing this for 90 minutes? Like, genuinely, something else has to come along to make this interesting. And the chance the film had to go an interesting avenue, even without a budget, was the minute that Carl killed whatever his name was, Gavi or whatever, when he said, "Oh yeah, your girl slept with my brother while you're on the inside."
Yes.
And then he killed him, right? So he's killing. So that's the moment you as a film have a chance to do something interesting, which is I've killed someone for personal gain. So they could have twisted the story there and ended up with something which is like, we're going to cover this up and we're going to make out like this is the guy who was the rat who turned on the father and son, but then the dad finds out about it and then gets mistaken and thinks that his son is the rat and then kills the son. But instead it just led to more people dying, just to cover up the original crime, to the point where the parents are killed. And it at no point was any of it interesting, because it's like you didn't take what was a unique, distinct, funny element of, we're going to just kill this guy in the house now because he said this about my girlfriend, and you squandered it. You just made it like the first of 8 deaths that you see in the film.
See, to me, I did get enjoyment out of these two bumbling idiots just kind of making their way through life and always paranoid, getting their little henchmen to do their killing. And there is a level of very, very subtle comedy there that I enjoy. But I totally agree. Like, at the beginning, it took a little while for me to kind of get in sync with that. And I can imagine it's very hard for an everyday kind of watcher to get in sync with that. It's just a very unique kind of look at it. And yes, it is kind of kitchen sink in that way, but it's so different from, because you're expecting it to go down some really dark paths that you would imagine these kind of kitchen sink dramas get into, but it does it in a very different kind of entertaining way. And as soon as it resonated, I can't tell you enough how much that Michael Smiley character just resonated with me. That as soon as he turned up, I knew I was going to be having a good time. Just him turning up saying, like, "Don't play with my kid." less of the cuddling, less of the kissing and the farting noises. I think his energy really helped me get into the rhythm of this film.
Well, he was such a side character for me that
I know.
It couldn't affect it, because it was like a cameo appearance. It didn't have any bearing on the rest of the film for me.
It's true, but I feel like the level of comedy he brings, it helps you to tap into what the film's trying to do. So everything from there, I could see, okay, now I'm supposed to be seeing this as a comedy. It's not supposed to be serious in the slightest. And then you get to the point where, obviously, he comes around to come and murder Garv, and they couldn't get a babysitter, so he's got the kid with him and he's about to kill him. He's going around with a knife, and he's like, the line he said, which made me laugh, "I'm gonna fuck you up the ass and set your hair on fire." It's like, what the hell is these lines? It's so random and off the cuff. I got to the point where it was resonating with me, and I could understand what it was doing. And then even to the point of when he's gonna get murdered, and it's the other guy who's Jay's dad from In-Betweeners. It's so obvious that he's about to murder him, and he's saying about, "I'm going to go make this guy, just round here by these caravans." It's like he's putting him in place just to get him shot in the back of the head. It's like so obvious, but so funny at the same time. How ludicrous this idea of like taking him around the back of these caravans to shoot him, and it worked on a level for me. I didn't think it was great. Obviously, I'm not saying this is a great film, but there's something there that feels very unique and different that I kind of gelled with a little bit.
The reason that you seem to have enjoyed it much more is that you got comedy from it, which I didn't. I know that they were trying to bring comedy into it, but apart from Michael Smiley, it was just beats of his performance were funny. There was never a funny moment without him. that I could see. Even that one where Carl is going, Mom, 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 and then he's go, oh, here they are, about the letters.
So I did find that funny.
That's so obnoxious. It's just, I didn't really care for it. And like when he's playing the guitar upstairs and his dad is shouting upstairs about, is that my guitar? No, it's my guitar. I listen to you playing. It's like, what is this? This is like, Kevin and Perry kind of teenage awkwardness and rebellion that we're seeing in this house. And it might have been interesting if we'd seen the outside gangster world and then had this ridiculousness in the house to compare it to. But because we're never seeing that and we're just seeing how they behave in the house, it comes across as like make-believe. It makes me almost realise that it's a film because I'm not actually seeing these people as gangsters at any point. I'm not seeing this dangerous world they inhabit.
I get that.
So it's almost like, are they even gangsters? Are they even big deals? Or are they just some petty hoodlums? The way that they're carrying on.
See, that kind of still worked on a level for me because of the fact you don't see them. It's like, what are these guys actually fighting for right now? Because I can't have any level of what this is, but it's still enjoyable how they don't feel like they're threatening characters anyway. And they're just bumbling their way. Sometimes feels like they're accidentally killing people and they're not supposed to be killing people. So I enjoy that level of just ludicrous comedy.
Yeah.
And but also there is no kind of focus on what story they're trying to tell, because as I said, it's like a fucking pyramid, this film, because the enjoyable bits in the middle and then it kind of goes because of how good it was in that middle section for me. And it gets to the end, I'm like, okay, I don't really know why this pregnant girlfriend's getting involved now, or why she's so vicious and suddenly stabbing the mum. I don't know where that came from and why they're suddenly just going to kill the dad. I just don't know. It has no direction for me of why that happened.
It has no real... No, it doesn't. And it spirals to the point where it's almost like, have I missed something here? But it's like, I don't care enough if I have missed something, but I don't think I did. It just had spiraled so much because people were just killing people to cover up for things and disloyalty and whatnot. The reason the son kills the dad is, yes, because the girl encourages him to do it, but also because he's been told that his dad was the one who actually turned on them and was been working with the police, which would make no fucking sense other than that's how they got sprung from prison. Yeah. The guy who was on his deathbed, the guy who was either their lawyer or like an insider police guy, said that his dad had been making deals with the police for a long time.
I must have missed that.
But it's like, but even still, like, we have not seen the son at any point care more about the criminal world than his family. So why, even if he believed that, why would he kill his dad? Because for him, even though he has this fractious relationship with his dad, having his dad alive would be more important than living in a world without him so that he could be number one gangster, because he isn't that thing.
Yeah. You never get a sense of that, do you?
All of the film, by the way, isn't doing, for me personally, any heavy lifting for me to believe any of this stuff anyway. Like, just genuinely is not working. Like, I think there are comedic moments, but I was taking it more as a drama, because yes, there was comedy in it, but they were doing more of a drama for me, and it didn't work on that level. And if it was meant to be a comedy, it definitely wasn't working for me on that level, because there was only one or two humorous moments. Here is a perfect example of how you can accomplish this and do it perfectly. Same year, barely any budget apart from the budget you need to get the cast of actors involved, of course. It's 44-inch Chest, which is, again, a British film, 2009, largely set in one person's house with 5 or 6 men. Okay, you've got great actors, which helps, but forget the actors. The page, the script, the story is driven by fucking dialogue. All dialogue, and these are all hard men, tough nuts, dealing with emotional shit, and we never really see their gangster outside life because it's all taking place in that house. They do go outside sometimes, yes, but we know that they're hard men because of the way they talk, the way they interact with one another, and the heart of it and the dialogue in it is great, and that is fucking funny while also being a drama.
Yeah,
and this is like
very true.
This is like a student film. This is a student film of, you've got no budget, make a movie about gangsters, and it, for me, just didn't work at all. And it's one of those ones of Ben Wheatley where it's a perfect example of Ben Wheatley, who I do rate, but he makes good films and he makes very bad films for me. And when he makes bad films, they are bad for me. Sightseers being one of them, and High Rise being another one of them. They're low down tier for me. Field in England is getting up there. But do you know what film this reminded me of? I mentioned it in the end of the last episode. It's Happy New Year, Colin Burstead, which is the same kind of thing. Ben Wheatley, New Year's Eve celebrations. A family rents out a country house to celebrate New Year's, and it's all about the different members of the family coming together, and this guy Colin at the heart of it, who just feels neglected and forgotten and just disrespected by his family the whole time. And it's kind of like this in that not much happens, but it really fucking works, and it's very funny, and you really feel for the character. And here, I don't feel for anyone at any point. If you're meant to feel for the dad, I didn't. If you're meant to feel for the wife, the mum, I didn't. And I definitely didn't feel for that piece of shit kid, Carl. And I think he was probably the biggest hurdle for me, because I think you are meant to feel, even though you think he's a bit pathetic.
He's unlikable.
He's very fucking unlikable. And it's the performance of the actor as well that is unlikable for me, because he strikes me as quite amateur with it.
I wouldn't say while I was watching it that I felt like it was poorly acted. I just feel like it felt like they were sitting in a room and just aimlessly chatting. So it felt real, as if they were just coming out of stuff off the cuff.
It is performed well, but the guy who does the son overacts it. He overacts it, and it's quite clear that he's not a proper actor. Like, yeah, it's no coincidence that the only things that he's been in have been Ben Wheatley things.
Yeah, and it's never been a headliner since this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Michael Smiley, yes. The dad, yes. And also Marsha from Spaced, yes.
Yeah, gotta love a bit of Marsha. Yeah. I watched Hot Fuzz last night and forgot that she was in that. Yeah. I kind of like agree with everything you're saying, but I still kind of enjoyed it in some sort of strange level. And I think that is because I kind of was on the train of that comedy, and everything I was watching from I'd say from when he's shouting about where the letters are and how ridiculous that is. I was like, okay, this is what we're doing now. So I was kind of riding that comedy train. So I knew this wasn't going to be a straight up drama, and everything I was going to see from here was going to be like ridiculous, because that level of comedy was so dumb that I kind of just could resonate with it.
But where was the ridiculous after that? Because I genuinely, if you told me go and watch that now and just view it as a comedy, I wouldn't be laughing.
Them hanging outside that room, locked inside. He has his kid in the room because he can't get a babysitter. And he's shouting
the one Michael Smiley bit. The Michael Smiley bit, yes. But remove Michael Smiley and tell me how on earth you can say that this is a comedy or funny based on what you then see on screen happening.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah.
I'm asking you because you're enjoying it as a comedy, but I'm trying to work out where the fucking comedy is when you remove Michael Smiley.
I'm saying I agree with you. I feel like the Michael Smiley resonated with me so much that he was kind of getting me through, even though
You've been blinded by fucking Smiley.
Yeah. Even though, because you do get there's a section in between, right? You don't get a solid straight 10 minutes of whatever he's in. It is spaced over maybe like 40 minutes,
a little while.
Yeah, and it's only an hour and a half film, just under an hour and a half, maybe a little bit over. So that's spaced out just enough for me to ride that wave of, okay, I'm in a comedy.
Yeah.
And also, like the bit where they're burying Garl's body, that was a little bit funny. How just the back and forth between them, how the ground was so hard, why didn't you get a fucking shovel and all that kind of stuff. That resonated with me. But I can't think of what did after that, after the whole Michael Smiley stuff. I'm trying to think of the funny stuff that's happening. It's not coming to me, because after that it's just him murdering Garv's mum. Or is that no, that's the same. That's before Michael Smiley.
That's after Michael Smiley.
Is it after?
It's Michael Smiley's mum.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is Michael Smiley's mum. Yeah, after that, I can't think of very funny things that happen. It's more the way that Carl maybe handles the situation of his dad all wrapped up in the kitchen, and how that he's quite almost sentimental about the fact that his dad's there, and he's like, oh, it's like, you've just fucking murdered this guy.
Let's talk about that relationship.
Yeah.
Between them as father and son, and the fact that Carl is, because if there's any actual story or narrative thing in there, aside from the nonsense killings that keep just happening, it's that Carl has come out of prison. The girl that he was with before he went in prison, or the girl who was visiting him, who struck up a relationship with him while he was in prison, is pregnant. She's told him that it's his, and the dad is saying, abort it, we need to get on with our stuff, you don't need that distraction. And it's going to be a girl because you're that kind of man. You would have a daughter.
Toxic.
Yeah, so what of the relationship between them? What did you pick up anything that was particularly interesting? Because I'll tell you the other thing. So the little spoiler alert for patrons, our topic today is fathers and sons in film. So you told me that Sean selected that as a patron topic for us before I watched this film. Yeah. So I was also like, so we're going to be seeing some father and son dynamics and drama in here. But again, I didn't really get that. If it was there, it was thin, very thin.
To me, it was more the fact that this guy who maybe he's probably a dickhead as well, right? This dad, but he might have started off with a more noble thing of he wants to, spread the joys of taking drugs to the world, and he ended up becoming this gangster. I never felt like he was the worst person, but I think it's about how this monster's kind of been created through the life that he's been living, whether he's like spoiled or just tainted to the world that he's been living in by how, horrible it is that you can navigate life being this drug dealer and going to prison and whatever. So I feel like it's the monster he's created, and that is the dynamic between them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough one, this one for me, because I really do struggle to find my entrance point. Normally I can try and find something which is like the interesting bit to explore, but I just can't. I can't find it. I can't identify it. It's hard.
It is a very messy film. It is very messy. It's jumbled, and it clearly it doesn't lock its claws into what it wants to be, because it's not funny enough to be a comedy, like a true comedy. Even though there's really in my opinion, there's quite funny moments in it, and it's not deep enough to be a drama, because you're not getting the real layers of these characters. It's all very surface level. As I say, you just get the impression this guy's a spoiled kid, and there's nothing more from it. And you get a little bit from the dad that he used to be some kind of hippie maybe or something. And then the mum, who's clearly really the one pulling all the strings most of the time, telling people that this person did it or that person did it, so they end up going after them. But other than that, it's just they obviously had a base idea of where the story was going, and they kind of winged it half the time. That's what it kind of felt like, and they've just woven a story out of it.
Yeah, that's it. And it could have worked as a short, potentially, I think. I think it has short energy.
There's something very enjoyable to me, and this is the stuff I was getting out of it, and the idea that, yes, and you probably said it in my plot description, it's a father and son who don't know who stitched them up, so they're going after all the members of their crew and killing them in silly ways, and even though they don't know who they are, they're just going to kind of assume it's one person until they go on to the next person. And that's kind of enjoyable thing for me, and that was the enjoyable where I got the enjoyment out of this film.
And that plot description, if you haven't seen this film and you hear that, you think, oh yeah, well, I could see the humour in that, I could see the fun in that. But you watch the film, or at least I experienced the film, and I'm like, that who stitched us up plot device never feels very urgent for one thing, because it's not like they're like, come on, sit up, right, who is it, right, is it that one, right, we got to get it. That never happened. It's just like casual around the house. They're like, oh, I think it might be Garvey, I think, yeah, we need to get Garvey over here to talk to him. And then it goes for 5 minutes while they talk about is he or is he not the dad of this unborn child, and then they come back to it. So it's not urgent enough to be interesting and for me to believe when they start killing people anyway. And the comedy element of it, which is that they keep killing people and keep turning on people, didn't strike for me. It wasn't funny for me. I think it's an example of a film that was made because they had to make it. This is where I'll give it credit. Like what Ben Wheatley is saying, I think he wanted to make a film. He had no money and he wanted to make a feature film. So he was like, let's just make this fucking thing and see what we can do with it.
See what happens.
Didn't think about genre. Didn't think about, okay, let's try and make this a comedy. Let's try and make this a gritty drama. Let's just do this thing. Let's make it, and then afterwards we'll figure out how to package it. And then it got to that afterwards, and they were like, oh, this is kind of interesting. We don't know how we should market it, so let's hand it over to whoever, Film 4 or whoever. And Film 4 or whoever were like, well, yeah, let's market this as a gangster film, which it ain't. That DVD comes through the mail, I look at it and I go, have I ordered the wrong fucking film? I legitimately did think for a minute. I was like, is this the wrong fucking film? Because that is nothing like what the film is about. And if you market it as a comedy, which right now I'm looking at the poster of Down Terrace, which has, I don't even know what it means, caustically funny, violent as the Coens and as realistic as Ken Loach. Well, it ain't. I mean, yes, Ken Loach realism, yeah, but violent as the Coens, I don't get it. But like they're pushing it, the comedy aspect. And I think if you go into this wanting a comedy, you don't get it. If you go into this watching a gangster film, you don't get it. If you go into it with no expectations, you come out going, what the fuck was that? For me.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
But the comedy worked for you. I just struggle to see it totally.
I mean, if you're thinking about this like talk about Go To Us when we've made our Sharks at the Wedding films, and it kind of, the comedy and the fun kind of comes from just making it and seeing what happens, right? And then imagine them in this house for 8 days and doing, maybe there's a base script, right, they're following. Maybe it's a drama. Maybe it's more serious than we actually end up getting. And we show Carl going there going, mum, 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 which might show a guy who's literally like off the chain fucking horrible kid, and he clearly gonna cause some shit. But then maybe at the end of that take he was just like, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
As a joke just for the crew.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we could just use that. That might be quite funny. And then if you start taking, like, and then Michael Smiley comes along and he's just naturally funny anyway. Just of how he says stuff. And then when you start picking it apart like that, saying, well, was this ever a comedy? Or did it just end up being a comedy? It could possibly have worked out that way. I could see that. Hence why you say, well, after Michael Smiley, where's the comedy? Because it never really gets there into like full-blown comedy after that.
But even the Michael Smiley character, he's a funny character, but I don't. It's not like when he turns up, it's like, oh, and now we're doing comedy. It still is just like this one character is a funny character. But there's many drama films. There's many films that aren't comedies that have a character who particularly if they're natural like he is, that add a levity to it and make you go, that's funny.
Yeah, and most of the time the comedy comes from just them having conversations, random conversations, not really to do with the plot, right? So like him chatting, Michael Smiley chatting with the dad, and in the background Carl is playing with the kid. It's like, that's not a plot point, him playing with the kid, but the comedy comes from him, Michael Smiley, reacting to him playing with the kid. Yeah. Not about what he's chatting about with the dad. So in some senses, it's like, was that ever in the script? Or was that just come up naturally? And it was kind of a laugh just to be saying that kind of stuff during the day. I don't know. But either way, I don't know. That's why it's a bit muddled.
The thing is, me and you go in a room for a day and make a short film, and we think it's funny, but just because we have a good time making it, don't mean people are going to have a good time watching it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me and you don't put our Charles Manson, Adolf Hitler short into a feature film and put it out for people to watch because we know exactly what they would think of it. So, and anyway,
it's for the select few.
It is. The guy who played Carl isn't even an actor; he's an editor.
Right,
and he'd edited some stuff with Ben Wheatley beforehand, and then Ben Wheatley was like, "Oh, let's get you in a film." And it's like, yes, that fucking makes sense. Because who is this fucking guy? Who is this guy? And why are we watching it? Anyway, it's a shame that Sean couldn't be on this episode, because Sean obviously very, very much likes this. And he would have been you're I'm guessing in the middle of where me and Sean are. And it would have been interesting to hear why Sean likes it so much.
I can tell you. He sent me a message. You want me to tell you?
Come on, let's hear it.
So Sean says he's going straight in with the rating. So here we go. Well, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Down Terrace mixes the kitchen sink and British gangster films with an acerbic humour only Ben Wheatley could deliver. I love the growing paranoia that ensues between them all in the intentional, ambiguous work they do. I especially like Robin Hill's petulant man-child and his relationship with his movie and real-life father. Could have done without the folky music bits, but you can't have everything. I thought Sean would have loved that. I think the main beauty in this film comes from its ambiguity. I love a film that doesn't quite give you everything, but leaves you to put the pieces together in whatever way you see fit. And this is definitely a film that does that. Anyway, it's probably not for everyone, but it's a fuckload better than Meg 2, that's for sure. I love you all, and I hope you didn't absolutely hate this movie.
Well, Sean, it's not a personal thing because we can't all agree. And Dev, you're right to hold views as you would for me and us as well, but you can't hit every time, and for me this was not a hit. I guess the thing is, this is how difference of opinion. He liked the guy playing Carl. He thought that was and for me I didn't. And that really polarizes you.
And it makes sense as well that he really digs the ambiguity of this film, how like you never really see the work they do and what the film's actually about, and it's I can see him, like I can understand why he would dig that if that's his idea of fun.
But then, and see the ambiguity, which he sees as a plus, I see as a negative, because for me, I need to see that outside world if I'm going to believe this if I'm going to care and believe in this internal stuff.
Even more so if you're not gelling with the comedy. I feel like even more so for you if you're seeing it as like a straight up drama, because you do need to see like the mechanism and the cogs of that industry they're working in. If you need to gel with the
show
drama.
Me why I should care about who turned them if I don't even know what turning them means. Like I don't know what their criminal activity was, and I can see the plus of it's ambiguous, which is interesting. Yes, but I need to care about something that is going on with these people. I need to care about something in the story, and if you're not giving me something to hold on to, like what did you care about most in this film?
Michael Smiley.
I know you need to drop Michael Smiley. If Michael Smiley wasn't in this film, I swear to God, you would be on the same page as me. Michael Smiley is a side character. That core story, the thing the film is about. What do you care about in it? What holds your interest?
What holds my interest is
as a plot device. Yeah,
as I said, the bumbling through, trying to pin this betrayal on someone, and they end up killing all the wrong people in many different stupid ways. And that is kind of the thing I gel with as like a core plot. And then everything around it kind of just happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm just waiting for the next person to get pinned.
No gooder.
I agree. I kind of agree, yes. But I had to enjoy something. But the comedy was the thing I most gelled with.
This film is like people who've never listened to Filmbusters coming to this podcast thinking we're going to talk about a film and hearing me and you make in-jokes about Adam all episode. And people will be like, yeah, but how can I find that? I don't know who Adam is. Are you going to tell me who Adam is? No. Well, you just have to take our word for it that we have another host and these things happen, but we're not going to tell you what things happen. And it's like, what? Well, I'm not going to listen because you haven't given me anything to go on. You haven't even talked about the fucking film. Sorry, Sean, I didn't like this film, buddy.
That's all
and
good.
Of course,
happens sometimes, doesn't it?
I would have to fucking buy it and own it now because I can never buy a film that I actually enjoy.
You going to put it in your collection?
Well, yeah, I ain't going to throw it out. That would be terrible.
Throw it out the window?
Yeah. I just
frisbee
snap it in half over my knee in a fit of rage.
I go, Mom!
Yeah. Come on, should we do the inevitable unless you've got something else to say?
No, let's do it. Let's give it a bit of a rating. I was going between 2 ratings, and after this conversation, I'm landing on a 6.
Oh, okay. I did think 6 would probably be your lowest. I knew you were kind of playing a bit of devil's advocate because you have to, because if someone doesn't like it.
It was. I got to say though, it was kind of riding on a 7. I was like, I did kind of enjoy it, but then after you've kind of interrogated me, and it's like you are correct. Yes.
No, I'm not correct. We got difference of opinions, and I it's genuinely I didn't clock humour. I didn't clock it as a comedy genre at any point. I always thought it was a drama film, and there were some funny moments in it, but that not enough for me to think, oh, this is a comedy that I'm watching, and that was how I would enjoy it. It's a 4 for me. I was borderline 5-4, but yeah, the more that I've talked about it, the more I've disliked it.
We've kind of both shifted down.
Yes.
1 rating.
So a 4 it is, and we don't have Adam's score at the moment. So without Adam's score, it averages at a 5, which means
you have to add Sean's as well.
Oh well, that totally fucking skews it then. So normally that would have arguably gone into our bottom 20 of all time, Sean. You could have been proud of that. You could have been part of some Film Busters history, giving us a bottom 20 film. But there's you going and saving one of the films you like. Bless you, Sean. You're absolutely entitled to your opinion, and you should. 6.33. Do we try and place this without Adam? Remind me what we do.
Yes, we try and do it. Let's have a go. We normally, if we can't answer it, we just leave it there till Adam's watched it.
All right, so the first film it goes up against is Trouble Every Day, which we watched with Peter from the Movie Duel podcast. I prefer Trouble Every Day. You give both the same score.
Whatever I say, we can't go up anyway because...
Eyes Without a Face I preferred as well. So it's not getting higher than Eyes Without a Face. So it's about whether or not it sits above Trouble Every Day.
Even if I say Trouble Every Day, we still can't move it because Adam hasn't given us his score.
Yes, exactly.
So it sits there.
It
Adam
sits above
decide.
Waking Fright, which is terrible.
Very well placed. It should not go any higher. Waking Fright, it should go lower, if anything.
Certainly not. Waking Fright, come on now, anyway.
Despicable film.
Do you want to know something? Ben Wheatley don't give a shit about what we've said because Ben Wheatley infamously hates critics. He says film critics is not a real job. It's not. He doesn't hold any stock by it, and they're basically just criticising people who are actually doing stuff. Which perhaps there's a truth to it, but actually they're two different. They're just 2 distinct spheres. I could never be a director of a feature film. I know that, but that doesn't mean that I can't, from all of my other understanding and analysis of it, talk about why certain things have failed for me.
He's got to take all those quotes off his work then, if he doesn't like critics.
Exactly, yeah. Take
Just
all them
remove
fucking
them
quotes
all.
off. Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about.
Only put the good ones on there, that's what he's saying.
Yeah. Silly little dicky he is. No good on this film, my friend. No good.
Well,
I was very cross. I was angry.
Very sorry.
Do you know what?
Did you watch it with Jen as well?
No, thankfully I fucking spared her. I think Any Given Sunday is better than this.
For
you, no, but for me, yes.
What did
You give Any Given Sunday a 5.
Yeah, I'd probably rewatch Any Given Sunday. It feels like a bit like at least there's some energy there that I can kind of get into, but it's still a bad film.
No.
But it's also a long film. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably watch this again.
Yeah,
It's shorter.
I don't know. It was quite miserable. It was as in the film itself was it felt like a rainy day.
Yeah.
What it felt like was being sat inside on a Sunday. It's a bit cold. It's raining outside, and you're going to work the next day. That's what this film felt like for me.
Well, that's half the joy of those kitchen sink dramas.
Ugh.
Just getting the horrible mood of them.
Ugh.
Yucky.
I nearly threw up watching this film. No, I wouldn't, because there was nothing that happened in this film that was engaging enough to even invoke a sickness. At least Cats made me feel sick. This didn't even invoke sickness. But it's fine. Whatever.
Oh, shit.
Sean, don't let this, do not take any of this stuff to heart, because you are allowed to like your own shit and I'm allowed to dislike my own shit, and you're allowed to dislike stuff that I love. That's what makes the human race beautiful.
It bloody does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it'd be very boring if we were all the same, my friend. But equally, you know, we've loved stuff that he's brought before. He's brought us Sing Street, and even the vinyl thing that he came on for recently, we enjoyed. Like, it wasn't great, but we enjoyed it. So it's good to, you know, you should stick your neck out and pick something that is going to divide people a bit. I'd much rather us have the conversation we've had today about Down Terrace than for us to have discussed something like Fantastic Mr. Fox, you know? That would have been just like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shed some light on something a little more unknown.
And, you know, if I've just watched Down Terrace and I want to now hear podcasts, even the way that I feel about it, and I'm like, let me hear some people discuss it, I'd want to hear us talking like that, like some person who's like just totally not engaged with it, didn't like it, and someone who got something out of it and saw comedy in it and was able to save the movie for themselves because of it. That's interesting. It's worth
for sure.
It's worth it for that.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Sean. Ben, do you want to reveal what we're doing next?
So I've been umming and ahhing about what film to pick from 2009. It's a very, very difficult one, this one, because there's many films that I feel like could be good to talk about, but actually, looking at the year as a whole, I'd be interested to see what you two pick, basically, because it's hard for me to actually pick something that I think is something that we could really get our teeth into. But this is the one that I keep coming back to, that I know how it's going to go, Paul. I know how it's going to go. I'll tell you how it's going to go, and then I'll tell you the film. I will very much like it and have many good things to say about it. Adam will be very middle of the road, and you will not really like it.
And who has seen it and who hasn't seen it?
I've seen it and Adam's seen it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I won't like it, you're saying?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not overall, you won't. You'll like elements of it. And anyway, all right, folks, this is what we were going to do. So I was potentially considering Goal 3, but I thought it's just not fair because we haven't seen Goal 2. And Goal 3...
I don't have the context.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the context. And we got to do them in order. But Goal 3 is literally one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. So it might have been fun to rip it, but we would have just all ripped it. So let's go a bit interesting. Let's take on our first ever Gaspar Noé film. And let's do it. Enter the Void.
Oh, okay, cool. Wicked. It's been on my watch list for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So, I'm down for it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Gaspar Noé, Enter the Void. Sean will like that as well, because I know that Sean just watched that recently, so he'll appreciate that a film that he picked has then spawned off Enter the Void after that. Yeah. But
you give him a little something back to him.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see where you land on it.
Interesting. I'm down.
I'm saying it now. This is why I ummed and ahed, because I'm pretty sure I know exactly how our conversation will go overall. And it's like, if I can already predict how it's going to go, is it even worth doing? But let's see. It's the only one I keep coming back to.
Well, that's exciting. That's what we're doing next, everyone. But, if you want to get a little bit more out of this podcast, we're about to go record our Patreon episode right now, which Sean suggested. And it's all about father and son dynamics and our favourite in some films, basically. And you can get to that at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. And if you want to become a member of the Filmbusters family, you can be best friends with the likes of Tia from the Alien Effect podcast.
And you can join Luke Bennett,
You can join Francis Siberini.
Steve and Mark from Movie Drone.
You can join Brent from Home Video Hustle.
Luke Human.
Sean Powder Nicholson, who brought this film and brought the whole round to us.
Thank you, Sean. Nerd Revert also.
How about Julio from The Contrarians?
How about Jamie from the Movie Jewel podcast?
Or finally, how about Katie and Oti from For Your Reference?
Any of them.
That's it. Any of them. You can become best friends.
If you want to
Come
sit in
over.
the same room as them, buy a ticket, buy admission, go and sit in the same room as them and talk to them.
A single £1 will do it. That's all you need.
Who gives a shit?
Tales Busters.